You read that right. This is SpongeBob ASMR, and in fact it's going to be the science of SpongeBob. We are going to be starting with SpongeBob himself. Now, sponges are real animals, not just what you use to clean your bikini bottom in the shower. So they are believed to be the most basic animal that is alive today, and they were potentially the first ever animal to truly evolve. SpongeBob himself is believed to be a yellow tube sponge, and I'm going to read this, and I have no idea if I'm saying it right. I will put the name here. The species of sponge he is Aplicina fistularis. So apparently that's the species of sponge that SpongeBob is. SpongeBob is able to walk and talk and do everything that a human does. He can even make a bloody burger, right? But that is where the similarities end, because adult sponges actually lack any nervous tissue. They literally do not have a brain, so they aren't even clever enough to be called stupid. They can barely even contract multiple parts of their body at the same time, because that requires nervous tissue and coordination. So they really aren't clever guys. They are also known as sessile, which means they are stuck to a rock and they literally cannot move for their entire life. Once they are stuck in place, they do not move, and they just basically sit there filtering food out of the water around them as it comes past. So SpongeBob, real animal, but just really doesn't compare. The show would probably be a bit more boring if he just sat on one rock the entire time and did nothing. We all know where SpongeBob lives, right? Or lives in a pineapple under the sea. So let's just think about that one for a second. So the density of a pineapple is 6 kilograms per meter cubed. Yes, I did actually look this up. And the density of water is 997 kilograms per meter cubed. This means a pineapple is less dense than water, and so it should float. But this is real science, so naturally I had to test. Now if you have a look, you're going to see footage of me testing this pineapple. I actually put a pineapple in my bath, as you can see, because why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you have a pineapple in your bath? And you can clearly see a pineapple floats. It was quite surprising because it's so heavy, but it's all about density, and so clearly SpongeBob could not live in a pineapple under the sea. However, we know SpongeBob's house is hollow. He lives in it, there's stuff in it. So again, naturally, I had to test properly, some proper science. So if you look again, you will see I made SpongeBob's house out of a pineapple. Again, I tested, I had a pineapple in my bath twice, because why wouldn't you? And if you look again, it does not sink. So SpongeBob could definitely not live in a pineapple under the sea. However, again, we do know that SpongeBob's house has stuff in it. He has furniture in his little chair, all these little things. Now, I didn't make SpongeBob's furniture and put them in his little pineapple house, but who knows? Give me some of those likes and subscribes. If this video goes somewhere, maybe I could do a true SpongeBob pineapple house test and make all this stuff, put it in a pineapple, see if it sinks or floats. We'll see. Moving on to Patrick the Starfish. Now, what you might not know about the innocent looking little starfish is that they are actually voracious predators, and they scour the bottom of the ocean, eating a variety of things. Possibly the worst part about this so far is that part of the starfish's diet is, you guessed it, sponges and also snails. So this harmonious little friendship would probably in reality be far more grim and deadly. Now the starfish gets even weirder. They actually have an anus on their head. Yes, you heard that right. So weird. And the mouth is at the bottom of the starfish as they crawl over things. They can eat them right from above. But the way they eat is even more ridiculous. So to eat, they actually eject their stomach outside of themselves and smother their prey in their stomach. They then start to partially digest their prey alive outside of their body. They will then drag it back in to finish the job. Horrific. Now that is an episode of SpongeBob that did not get shown. So where is Bikini Bottom located? Well, Bikini Bottom is located at the bottom of the Bikini Atoll in the Pacific Ocean. And you can see it here, it's real. Now this makes complete sense because if you look in SpongeBob, the clouds look like flowers, and so maybe the flowers on the bottom of the sea floor just above them are like the clouds. It all makes sense. However, there is a dark history to Bikini Atoll, and it's actually the site where the US conducted 23 nuclear tests. Maybe that explains why SpongeBob is able to talk and walk. Some sort of weird mutated animals live down at the bottom of Bikini Atoll. That's an interesting story. Now Bikini Atoll has a maximum depth of around 65 meters, and again, yes, I did look all of this up. You've got to be precise. And this is well within the range that sponges can be found within the oceans, and in fact there is up to 40 species of sponges that do live in the Bikini Atoll. So truly it's realistic that SpongeBob could live in Bikini Bottom. Moving on to Squidward. So obviously Squidward is an octopus. Yes, Squidward is an octopus, but let's be honest, Octowood doesn't really roll off the tongue. So let's ignore the fact now that he has arms and legs and all that. If Squidward was a real octopus, his face would look a whole lot more sinister. So again, octopus are voracious predators, but their mouth is where it gets really creepy. They don't have a mouth, they don't have teeth, instead they have this horrific beak that's inside the centre of their arms and tentacles. And then they capture their prey, they drag them in, and then they slowly bite chunks out of their live prey using their sharp beak. Again, absolutely horrific. One of the key things about Squidward is he plays the clarinet, but let's be honest, if his face was shaped like this sharp beak, he would not be able to get the clarinet in his mouth to play. Squidward also has what's known, or should have what's known as a siphon, because octopus have a siphon, and this is where they eject water out of to help them swim and move. Obviously they can walk around or crawl around on the bottom, but when they're in the water column, they shoot water out of their siphon to help them move, and it's also how they breathe. Water goes in and flows out of the siphon. So if he was playing the clarinet, he would actually be blowing the clarinet and the water out of his siphon, and I don't know where the siphon is on Squidward. So lastly, we're back and we're talking about density of water. Yeah, again. So the clarinet is a woodwind instrument. It requires you to blow air through it. The density of air is about 1.225 cubic meters per kilogram. This is 800 times less than the density of water, so it would be almost 800 times harder, in theory, for Squidward to blow water through the clarinet, which would make it basically impossible for him to play underwater. Again, could be an interesting video. I could try and play the clarinet underwater. I don't own a clarinet, and I only have a bath, so that could be an interesting one. again, if this video goes somewhere, maybe I'll try and borrow a clarinet, I don't know. And lastly, we are moving on to Mr. Krabs. Now he is the burgomaster of Bikini Bottom, but would he actually be able to run a business? Now obviously the brain power and learning required to do this is absolutely huge. Krabs obviously do in fact have brains, but they are very, very small. You can see one here. However, lots of research recently has shown that Krabs do have a surprising capacity to learn, which is crazy. So they were given a maze, Krabs were given a maze with food at the end as a reward, and they were shown to actually remember the maze and even learn it. And they have also been shown to feel pain and shown to remember and recognise other Krabs. So there's clearly more going on there than you might think. However, no other animal in the animal kingdom, the whole of the animal kingdom, has ever been shown to cook their food. So you wouldn't have an understanding of what cooking food was, let alone running a business. So on this one, it goes to science. So after all of that, where do we actually stand on SpongeBob? So there are parts of it that are really actually quite accurate and plausible. It's a real place. The organisms that they show are actually quite real, and some of them are quite accurate. But even though there are definitely some real elements, there are so many things that just don't quite add up. And so on this one, science wins. I hope you liked this video. Let me know in the comments how you think it went. Let me know if you stayed till the end, and let me know if you'd like to see anything like this or see more of it. Until next time.